What is it that I need to understand when I walk into the bank to apply for a business loan?
The 5 C's of credit: character, capital, cash flow, collateral, conditions.
Are there any things that come to mind in regards to what people might be over preparing before they come in?
The reality is a lot of startup businesses aren't profitable in year one.
If someone has been denied, what should they do to be able to come back at it?
Ask the bank for some feedback. Just because somebody says no doesn't mean everybody's going to say no.
So many entrepreneurs have walked out of banks confused, discouraged, and thinking, what did I do wrong when trying to get business loans? So what do banks actually look for and need from you? That's what we're talking about today. Welcome to Courageous New Start. I'm Dawn Stevens.
And I'm Alexis Rogers.
I didn't forget my name, I promise.
I know you didn't.
But I did want to focus on how important this particular topic is, because let's be real, I would say a large percent of people who decide to become entrepreneurs and business owners are going to, at some point in their journey, try to figure out how in the world they're going to get a loan, to get capital.
And to even what they need it for. How do you start? What are the steps? All these things are really important.
And I went on this journey a year and a half ago or so. So I wanted to make sure that we brought someone on, an expert, Nate Pearson from Nicolet Bank, joining us today to give us the wisdom we need. Thank you, Nate.
I'll do my best.
Well, you were just saying you've been in banking 20 plus years. Is that what you?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have a little bit of knowledge that probably we don't have.
Seen a few things. Yep.
Seen a few
Absolutely.
things.
What I like about how you describe your banking career and journey so far, I think of numbers, but you say you think of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're based in numbers. Obviously, the banking is in the risk management business as we do loans, but it all comes down to people.
It really does. We come down to helping people, right?
Yes.
And that's why we want to make sure that we can bring them the most important information to help them on this journey. First of all, I think that a lot of people can relate to trying to apply for a consumer loan. But one of the things that you say is very important to think about is it is totally different than applying for a business loan. Talk about the differences to kick us off here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the majority of the world out there can relate to the consumer lending side, getting a mortgage, getting a car loan. You can go into a bank and kind of ask, what's your rates? And they're all kind of standard. The business community, the business banking side is much different. It's more customized. So going in to ask for a business loan to say, what are the rates today? You're not going to be able to get a really clear answer on that because it's risk-based. So it depends on how much you're looking for, what your background is, and the bank will kind of model out an appropriate return for the risk given whatever the request is.
What are the types of things you see business owners coming in to get a loan for, and what are some of the largest misconceptions you think you see when people come in and they ask for one?
Yeah, generally speaking, the business owners want to be polished. They want to be experts. They want to act like they know what they're talking about, which is reasonable. I mean, they're people. But to rely, to kind of come in and be vulnerable, I think is really important. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know. Business banking isn't intuitive. People aren't just naturally knowing what a bank is going to look for. So it's really good to come in and ask questions and be curious to find out what it is the bank is looking for, what makes a good loan, what makes a good borrower, and then kind of get an understanding of that so then they can respond and say, here's what we're looking to do.
So let's dive into that then. What is it that I need to understand when I walk into the bank that this bank is going to be asking me for to apply for a business loan?
Yeah, so generally speaking, I put it into two buckets. One is a business plan, particularly for a startup company. You need to have a general idea of what it is you're looking to do and be able to communicate that. And this is around strategy, competition, financial modeling. Ultimately, we want to evaluate the cash flow, make sure the business can repay any loan that we want to give. So having a business plan is really important. And the business plan, to me, in my opinion, in my experience, it doesn't need to be pretty. It just needs to have the right content in there. So don't spend a whole lot of time getting it all the right borders and the formatting. We're more concerned about the content. So then, besides the business plan, then it kind of traditionally goes back to long-standing language in banking is the 5 C's of credit.
Okay.
So the 5 C's of credit basically are what the bank's going to look for and evaluate in any loan request. So the first one being character. Character is really important. Again, it's a people business. So we want to know we're doing business with the right kind of people. The second is capital. Have you put some money? Do you have some skin in the game here? Do you have some money to back it if you need some liquidity or working capital? Third is cash flow. Making sure that your business is generating money to repay the loan as well as pay yourself and whatever the business needs. Collateral is the fourth C. Most banks want collateral because if things don't go well, you want to have a secondary repayment source to pay that. And then the fifth C is conditions. So the market conditions. Are we in recessionary type conditions? Are you looking to go into a market that's heavily saturated already, or where the supply and demand is of any given market? So those are the 5 C's, and they're pretty critical and fundamental to all banks.
That's so good. I like when we have a list like that because I think it helps help us understand exactly what you're considering. What about any other kinds of documents? Because let's say I'm new to this thing. Maybe I've been doing this thing as a side hustle, but now it's like my main thing. So what are other documents that I should be bringing to make the process go smoother?
Yeah, and that it's going to depend on where you're at in the journey.
Okay.
But certainly if you're to the point where you need to open up an account within the business name, you're going to get a loan, then you need to get tax ID number, articles of incorporation, register the company with the Secretary of State. That's a requirement, that's an annual renewal. So some of those kind of fundamentals, and again, those are things that aren't really intuitive. You wouldn't know you have to register with the Secretary of State. So it's important to come in and ask those types of questions to your bank, to whoever your partners are that you're working with.
That's super important. And I do want to go back to the 5 C's just because after you break down that list, so everybody knows check, 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 check.
Yeah.
I just personally had a question about collateral. And only because in our journey, we looked at what is our collateral, right? We worked with our financial advisor to talk about that. And give me some examples of what the bank may see as collateral that people should be thinking like, oh, okay, they may ask you to have paperwork on these things that could be, and I mean, I don't want to use the word repossessed, but taken back. Like that's something that you have to weigh in your mind if you want to use it as collateral.
Yeah, so to talk about somebody who maybe in a startup mode or that isn't used to this, you can think of collateral like a home mortgage. So you're going to buy a home and the home is collateral for the loan. A car, similar. Business loans are along the same lines, but you might be buying a chair, an office chair, or lighting equipment for a production studio, or whatever it is, the business that you need. So understanding that collateral, and then as well as what we call short-term assets or current assets of accounts receivable and inventory. Those are all things that have a value, and we can put a value on to identify some collateral coverage for the loan.
Okay, something to think about.
Yeah.
Yes. When it comes to maybe people over preparing, you were kind of going through some of the things that maybe people think too hard about, but what are some things that you're like, okay, I know you're preparing your business plan. You don't have to make XYZ mistake, but you can still get this loan. Are there any things that come to mind in regards to what people might be over preparing before they come in?
Yeah, I think for bankers that have been at this a while and have seen a lot, we've probably all seen somebody come in with a business plan, and in year one, we're going to make $1 million or make big money. And
Are you saying we won't
well,
make $1 million in year one?
you might.
Come on,
Nate. And I certainly hope you do.
Thank you.
But the reality is a lot of startup businesses aren't profitable in year one.
Yeah.
It takes time to build accounts, generate your revenue. So business is hard sometimes, maybe not as easy as some might think. So I think it's okay to come in with some realistic expectations and say, because frankly, for startup, a bank probably isn't expecting a great amount of profitability. You basically we want to understand when will you be breaking even, and at that point, then turning that into profitability. But yeah, a lot of times, or a few times anyway, we've come in and people present these
grandiose plans.
Grandiose
that, man, in my
business
heart,
plans.
I would love for it to work out.
Yeah,
but,
right.
yeah.
But we need to maybe sensitize that a little bit
Yeah.
and set the expectations around.
It's not as realistic.
As business owners, we know that having the right bank makes all the difference.
For years, that's been Midwest One Bank for me. Trusted, local, and community focused.
Their mission has been to build genuine relationships and deliver top-tier service and provide local expertise in Minnesota, Iowa, Colorado, even Wisconsin.
And now there's a new name backed by the same people, values, and local commitment you trust.
Say hello to Nicolet Bank.
Now, Minnesota, we need to talk. Take a deep breath.
We know that you want to say Nicolet.
So we're going to say this kindly because, of course, we're Minnesota nice, but listen closely.
The actual pronunciation is Nicolet. I know. You'll get used to it.
Nicolet Bank, new name, same commitment, member FDIC. I just want to ask this question. I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit. Obviously, we can predict that we're going to make $1 million. That's not really realistic. But I do have a question because one of my girlfriends asked me this last year. And she was talking about the fact that I think it was Amazon or some big company came out and said, we didn't turn a profit until we were like 7 years in or 10 years in, whatever. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alexis. Ooh is right.
Ooh,
and so
we got bills too.
And so it actually helped me to hear that because then I said, okay, wait, I need to bring my expectations down as far as when I'm going to make a profit. So in your year's experience, in your 20 years of banking, have you seen kind of an average type of year? How many years typically? Should I be patient because it's going to be 2 to 5 years? It might be 7 to 10 years. Kind of give me a little bit of that perspective.
Yeah, I guess I would respond with saying, what is the strategy? As long as you know it and understand it, we can get on board with it. There's a company here that is still operating here that I met years and years ago, close to 20 years ago, and they had continual annual losses, but they were investing in the company, building a platform, and they could tell me next year we're going to lose this much, and the following year we're only going to lose this much. Oh. And here, 4 or 5 years out is when they were going to start, being profitable. And they were spot on, and performed right along to the point where then all of a sudden they were making $1 million, making $2 million, making $3 million. So they knew exactly where they were going and had a model that would kind of support that. And then they backed it up. So those are the kinds of things that banks really appreciate and look for, that they have a plan and a strategy and can execute on it.
When you were talking about that, this is very weird. Go with me here. It made me think of Space Jam. You remember the movie Space Jam?
Yeah.
Yes. And you know how they had like
MJ.
their dream team?
Yes.
Not the LeBron version. I see where you went there. I agree with you. I'm thinking about the
go to
MJ
the original.
version. Yes.
The original.
I'm talking about the MJ version. Okay,
Yes.
there you
Yes,
go.
for sure.
And, they had this dream team, right? So how, as a business owner, what kind of dream team do I need to create to be able to walk in with you all and be in a really good spot? Like, what's going to put me ahead of the game?
Yeah, great question. So I would say the business owner needs to be an expert in their business. That doesn't mean they need to be an expert in business law. They don't need to be an expert in taxes. They don't need to be an expert in banking. So focus on the core of your business and surround yourself with really good teams. So, and I would say those three primarily. There's a lot of good resources depending on any given marketing assistance, something like that, PR. But generally speaking, attorney, CPA, and bank are really key partners for any business owner.
Good.
I think relying on friends to find those people too, and business owners that I know, because the trusted aspect of the CPA or the attorney
Absolutely.
Is always a good idea too.
Yep.
Do the banks ever provide that? Probably, right? As far as suggestions,
Oh, absolutely.
you have connections like that too.
Know a lot of
Yes.
the professionals in town for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to a fun topic here. Taxes. So much
Listen,
fun.
people have nightmares about taxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have nightmares about taxes?
Absolutely. Listen,
I'm sorry I asked.
being a new business owner, okay, we're like balancing the books, and we try to have the things that are most important to us to be good citizens, right? So we're like, all right, for us, we tithe in our household. So we're like, all right, tithing, taxes, and whatever else.
Yeah.
Baby, when that tithe and tax comes out, I'm like, oh man, maybe I should have charged a little bit more because I'm not coming home with as much as I thought. Do you hear that from new business owners a lot? Like trying to figure out how taxes work? Because I feel like it's always changing. Like you said, get a good CPA. But like, I love this question for that reason. Yeah.
Absolutely. Taxes are never too far of top of mind on a lot of business decisions from business owners, and rightfully should be. So yeah, I think, which again, it's really important to have a good CPA, a good partner who understands that, can provide good guidance and help. The tax implications influences a lot of business decisions. When you're talking about investing in new equipment or making an acquisition or buying a building, whatever it might be, if you're not looking at the tax implications, you're not being as thorough as you should.
Are there any hard and fast rules though, or like hard and fast things that might help? Like, should we always just keep 20-something% to the side? Like, are there any things that you've been like, hey, if you don't have these people in place, these things could potentially help you if you try X, Y, Z?
Well, not necessarily. I don't have a general rule of a certain percentage, but most common issue and challenge for new businesses starting up is lack of liquidity 6, 12, 18 months down the road. So as you're putting your business model together, and then if you're going to the bank to request like an SBA loan for some permanent working capital, we always want to err on the side of funding a little extra cash because that's consistently a challenge and typically something that's underestimated by business owners in the startup phase. So common mistake.
Good to know. When I'm applying for that business loan and I have my tax returns, I know they're going to ask me for what? They want to see what past taxes have looked like for my company?
Yeah, if you're beyond startup, so you've been operating for a year or two, you come to the bank and we're going to request past financials, past tax returns. There's no better indication of future performance than past performance. So
is there a magic number of how many years back they'll go?
Typically, we will request the prior 3 years.
Okay, so I have my 3 years ready.
Yep.
Okay. And what if I don't have
prior? Like, what if you're just starting off? Like, how do you make yourself look a little bit more
So that's when
delicious?
So that's when you need to have a good business plan together, a good financial forecast, a good model, and then a bank's going to rely on you. We're going to underwrite the character, your credit history, and so forth. We try to gather as much information as we can to evaluate the risk. We're all about identify the risk and mitigate it.
Yeah.
So, that as potential borrowers want to come, new business owners, that's effectively what we're trying to do. As we evaluate the 5 C's, it's what are our risks and how do we mitigate those?
Let me bring this up real quick because I think there are entrepreneurs watching that haven't started their business yet. So maybe they don't have 3 years of tax returns. And you just mentioned personal credit. And that's something where all my life it's been preached, have a great credit score, right? And do things to get that credit score up, right? That's just common knowledge. Now that I don't have those tax returns, how heavily is my credit score? Because I'm really like, and then what's my magic number now? Because I haven't done this in 10 years or so that I should have it at if I want the bank to take me seriously for that loan.
Well, that's probably going to depend on the bank.
Yeah,
every bank's going to have their own credit criteria. I would certainly strongly echo your thoughts there of credit is important.
Okay.
No doubt, particularly in a startup phase. If you don't have financial performance history to use for us to evaluate, we're going to rely on whatever information is available. So your personal credit score is a big factor in a decision like that. So,
are there any products, services, tidbits that you feel like would make such a big difference if more business owners knew about it? You see so much in the banking world, but is there anything that comes to mind where you're like, man, I wish more business owners did fill in the blank whenever they came to the bank because they would have better experiences or better, production?
Probably all over the board, I guess.
There's some good stuff at the bank.
And that's going to come down to every individual. It comes down to the personal wherewithal that a business owner might have and their risk tolerance. So I've seen borrowers that have come in that had a higher risk tolerance, and they took a risk and they lost. It didn't work out. So then they've got to dig themselves out of a hole. So, but I think maybe trying to identify that in yourself, before you get into this venture, like how much are you willing to risk, whether that's personally or your name on a bank loan, what are you willing to risk? And then understanding what the consequences are if you risk it and it doesn't go well. That's probably the most important piece, because I think entrepreneurs generally look at the upside. I mean, they're pretty much optimistic, positive people.
At least I hope you are.
We have to be.
Because I don't know how your journey gonna go if you don't have some optimism. Okay.
So, which is great, but you also need to evaluate the downside risk, and I think sometimes that gets missed.
Ooh, maybe that's the T-shirt, risk taker. That sounds very exotic.
We are.
I like that.
Risk takers.
Risk taker.
But he brings up a good point, though. Like, okay, I'm not saying we're overly optimistic, because we have to be optimistic, but how do we keep ourselves in check of like the reality? I mean, should we, before we bring the business loan to the bank, should we bring it to someone else to say, hold on, let's get you in check here? Is that something that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's peer groups out there. You can surround yourself with your consultants, your CPAs, other business owners for sure. That's where I think it's really good to be planful and strategic. So lay out your business plan, update it, have your financial forecast, and how are you tracking against that? Yeah. If you're way off, you might want to hit the pause button and reevaluate things before things get too bad.
Yep.
So you definitely want to always kind of check yourself as you go.
I think this is just a good rule of thumb, I think, for all of us to keep in mind is it's important who you do business with, right? Like, do they know your name? I know that when I was chatting with you about why you choose the banks that you choose and all of those things, a lot of the times it's because you feel like there's people that you can trust that actually want to see you win. And I feel like that's really the base of everything. Like, you have all these products, all these things, all these tidbits because you want to see people win, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Majority of bankers love working with people and want to help and solve problems. So relationships are very key. And it's kind of different in today's world. The old school banking, you call it, where you would actually physically come in and chat with your banker.
Yeah.
It's evolved. Now there's online financing and fintech companies where you can access capital in a variety of different ways, much more impersonal. And that's not to say that's bad. It's good. It's opened up channels for a lot of people to access capital. But in our world, the banking world, it's still relationship based. So the more we can get to know you, particularly in the startup phase, because we're underwriting you. We're always underwriting the people.
Yeah.
Even though you might have a good financial model or a good track history, it's reliance on the people leading that business that every bank and lender is counting on. So, it's a people business. It's a relationship business.
Relationships
for sure.
are important. This just brings me to a question that I'll just throw out there because I haven't been in this situation before. And actually, I should ask the question before I just assume. Okay, consumer loans. Sometimes you have co-signers. In a business loan, what does that situation look like when you are possibly looking at two people coming into starting a business? And is it just, do you have to weigh one person differently than the other? Does it matter who's the head of the company and who's not? Like, have you seen that before where two people will be applying for one loan? Is that work in their favor that it's two people and more income possibly, or?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, the more the merrier.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He said they were in the people business.
The more guarantors, the better. Sure. Yeah. So, we've got existing customers today that we work with that are kind of in the startup phase.
Okay.
But we have co-signers or guarantors, might be family member that have some financial wherewithal that we can rely on. So we underwrite that because we know we've got the support behind it. So whether it's partners or a family member or something, we want to help in any way we can, and we want to put a deal together however we need to. But we want to make sure it's a good loan and sometimes you need a co-signer or a guarantor that helps support that.
And I just wanted to ask that because I think that there are people out there who use co-signers to get personal loans, but maybe they do for business loans too.
Yeah.
And if it helps, that makes sense. And then having that knowledge when you go to the bank that, okay, it's two people that are be going through this process and need to have all this knowledge. So
I have two questions for you. One, if someone has been denied, let's say they came in, it just wasn't their time to shine, what should they do to be able to come back at it?
Yeah, I would say go back in and ask the bank for some feedback. Again, going back to we try to identify the risks and how do we mitigate them. Ask the bank, what were the risks and how could I have better mitigated, or how can I better mitigate? So getting that feedback to understand, how did we miss your appetite? And then I think it's also important to know there's a wide array of capital providers out there that are all going to have their own policies, their own credit appetite. Some lenders might be a little more conservative than others. So that might be another question to ask if you get denied. Is there maybe a more entrepreneurial bank out there that can be, Nicolet, well, view ourselves as fairly entrepreneurial, so we want to be in that category. But that's the kind of thing I think. Just because somebody says no doesn't mean everybody's going to say no.
And let me vouch for Nicolet. I think I said this when your counterpart, Elda, was here, who I also love and respect. And I've been part of Nicolet Bank now for 5 years with different businesses, girl, because I got a 15-year-old that has an art business. Everybody knows that. A nonprofit, and then our video production company. So when we were talking about doing banking, because I also bank with the big banks, I'll put that out there. Talking and dealing with the community bank has been a whole different experience, and one that I personally need as a small business owner. Just because, guess what? When I call, I need to talk to a person. And that's so huge. So as you're looking for the right bank as an entrepreneur, know that when you go to the community banks, it's more likely you'll be able to talk to a person, find out if that's the case, because I think that's important to help us through this journey. Actually getting that feedback from a human being versus hit 1 if you'd like to do this, hit 2 if you want to do this. No, I don't need that. So I just wanted to throw that out, that's helpful for entrepreneurs for sure. So.
And you kind of started to answer what was going to be my second question. I'm happy that you brought that up, Don. It sounds like to me that maybe there's a call to action to anyone who's either wanting to be an entrepreneur or who is dealing with entrepreneurs. It sounds like it starts with belief and being able to do business with good people. Would you sum it up like that?
Yeah, have a plan, have a strategy, and live it, and get after it. And if you have the perseverance in your belief in it, make it happen. Even if you go to one bank and they say no, maybe you're not ready. I mean, the reality is it might not be ready. Maybe you need to carry that for the time being to get it a little more off the ground until you can get a capital provider to partner with. But absolutely, I mean, we've heard all kinds of stories. There's success stories all over, somebody starting in their garage and putzing around, making a widget for a couple years before they, really started going. And now they're really successful companies now. So that happens all the time. But you got to roll up your sleeves and sometimes work at it pretty darn hard before you get there.
I know that's right. It's possible. I love it. Let's play a game.
Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna jump into this one.
Do you like games? I feel like you're good at games.
I like games.
Okay. So this is called
What's more important?
What's more important? Thank you. I was about to say this or that. That is not what it's called.
It's close though.
Yes. What's more important? Yes. And you have to pick one. That's our only rule.
Okay.
There is no double dipping here.
Okay.
Yes. You don't seem like a double dipper. That's good. Okay. So we'll give you options and you tell us which one and why.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. So what matters more to a bank? Your credit score or how well you explain your revenue model?
For startup?
Yes.
Come on, clarifying question.
I'd say the revenue model.
Okay. Why?
Cash flow repays loans. Credit score is an indication that somebody has been able to repay loans. The cash flow is what repays the loan. So I would say the revenue model is important.
Okay, now you know. Revenue model. All right, what matters more in the 5 C's? Collateral or character?
Character.
So you hit on that one.
That's easy.
Yep, very good.
What matters more for new entrepreneurs? Strong advisors or self-reliance?
Ooh, he paused.
Good, I did pause.
He paused.
I would say self-reliance, probably a really strong characteristic of the entrepreneurs that I know. They are survivors. They work hard. They're going to battle through challenges. They'll say self-reliance. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That's good. Okay. What's more important to lenders, past tax returns or future potential?
Future potential is important, more important. The past will maybe determine what we can and can't do today, but we want to know what you can and will be doing in the future.
More important,
Yeah.
the future. Okay.
What matters more to lenders, passion for the idea or proof in the numbers?
Proof in the numbers.
Yeah, that business plan needs to
Yeah.
really lay it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, very
You did a
nice.
good
I felt
job.
like we stumped you, or made you pause for a couple of them.
Yeah,
but
no, those are good. They're good.
Yeah.
There's no clear answers, so that's why they're
No,
good
right?
questions.
Well, I feel like that, and that is the entrepreneurial journey. Boom. There are no
Right.
clear answers. I mean, it's like, either it might be this, it might be that. It just depends on how your story is unfolding.
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks for playing with us.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
dropping your gems, dropping your wisdom. We
Yes.
appreciate it. Hopefully we can help entrepreneurs not have to go through the drama and the hoopla and all the mess
gosh.
that maybe some of us went through years ago, and wanted a show like this to be able to just give that expert information. So thank you for being a part of it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is great.
Come back
Thank you.
anytime.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for being a part of today. And hopefully you got some great information. If you're looking to start a business loan application, we would definitely advise you to get some information from those around you who are experts before you jump into it. And I just said that from personal experience, right? And that's what this is all about. We'd love to connect with you on courageousnewstart.com.
And I think we heard it. We heard it all throughout this episode. If at first you don't succeed, just try again, try again. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. Until next time,
You're definitely going to get there. Yeah, be courageous. Every day is a new start.
we'll see you soon.